In hundreds of years, we have seen so much change. The Elder Dragon's lust for magic
Is that Steve?
unsustainable.
Dude, this looks like Arcane. It's been a good weekend so far for me. The agenda for tonight, obviously I'm gonna go through the mail. We got a lot of stuff. Here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna be watching some videos. Collectively, they're gonna be...
1 year of watching you explore Tyria.
Malia, thank you for the 1 year of subs. Thank you so much. All right, collectively, we got a lot of stuff to watch today. If you don't feel like sitting through videos with us, you can come back in an hour. Bygone Bogatur. So they sent me a mail a couple of days ago. It says, "Hey VB, been watching the latest VOD on Twitch and I have a small complaint. Your music and effects volume is way too loud, to the point of drowning out any and all dialogue. It is possible it's a problem on my end. No, it's not. It's not a problem on your end. It's my end. It's my problem. Just in case, I wanted to let you know. I want to apologize to everybody on YouTube for leaving the volume, the music volume, maxed out for such a long time. I forgot to fix it way back in episode 0 when people told me to raise it for the Metal Legion music. But that is fixed now, I believe. Let me double check. Audio. Music's fine. Yeah, this is how I used to have it. Thank you for the 69 copper. Sanguine. Hi, VB. As you open and read this mail, you now finally realize that this mail just wasted your time. That was a waste of my time.
Hi, this is my ritualist Somnos Renoshi, and in this narrative I'm going to take you through the events of Guild Wars Factions. In order to tell the story,
let me know if it's too
correctly,
low
we
or
must
too high or
obviously start
whatever.
At the very beginning, 200 years ago, and this story
I've seen the
revolves around a
Factions
man named Shiro
cinematic
Tadashi.
trailer.
He was noticed by Emperor Anxian because of his extraordinary weapon skills, and was assigned to join the Imperial Guard as the Emperor's personal bodyguard. Shiro was also the most important part of the peace treaties forged by the Emperor between the
That's the
Kurz
guy that
and
keeps
Luxon
talking to me
factions.
in my head.
During her service to the Emperor, a demon sent by Abaddon had disguised itself as a fortune teller and read Shiro's future on several occasions,
What the hell?
eventually telling him he would be killed by the Emperor at the Harvest Temple. This
Abaddon.
caused him to turn to forbidden magic, which led to his madness. Thinking he was trying to prevent his own death, he struck down the Emperor with his enchanted blades at the Harvest Festival, and absorbed Emperor Anxian's soul, along with the powerful magic granted to him.
Shiro needs a braid? That hair
The
probably gets in the
ritualist
way
was
of
able to
fighting.
strike the gong, alerting the guards outside the temple. Shiro killed most of them until the Luxon champion Archimedes and Kurzik champion Victor
Or needs a
were
ponytail,
left.
at
the
least.
assassin Vizu crippled Shiro, and the
As
two
Vizu?
champions killed Shiro with his own blades. Imbued with the magic he stole from the Emperor,
She
and
looks hot.
releasing the energy of the harvest ceremony, his death
Thought
caused the
I'd
Jade
point that
Wind,
out.
turning the sea into jade and petrifying the Echo Vault forest. After his death, the Oracle of the Mist turned him into an envoy as punishment. The envoys ferry
She looks
newly
cool.
released souls into the
Cool
mist,
and hot.
and do this until their penance for their mortal crimes have been absolved. We learn that the daughter of the Count, Danica, is in the Imperial City, so we seek her aid to lead us to her father. We follow her into the forest where she leads us to him
What
to
the
discuss
hell? She looks like
The
she's from a
Kurzik
Tim
nation
Burton
are
film.
very religious in their worship of the five gods of Tyria.
Jorah's
They
not
are at
even...
war with the
She's
Luxon
too tall
Armada
for the
over
shot.
Amber and Jade, solidified
Half
who
of her
the
head
Jade
is cut off from the camera.
The Kurziks are focused on protecting and restoring the Petra. With the urn safely in our possession, Master Togo turns up and tells us we must head to the Boreas seabed.
I can't get over the fact that Jorah's still freaking
The
huge.
Luxon Armada were a seafaring nation before the Jade Wind.
This giantess.
Since the sea has now become salt. If I had chosen to help the Luxons, we had with Togo to consult with Eldorea, and in order to gain her trust, we must help in delivering eggs of giant
Wait,
turtles to
hold
and
on!
a
They had siege turtles back then too? I thought this was a new thing because, 250 years later, we have the technology. But they had it back then too?
They reluctantly agree and will go with Toko to the Harvest Temple, where Shiro...
Yeah, the
remains
Kurziks are like the
to
Gothic
seek
people,
guidance
so
from
they
the
must
ancient
be
dragon there.
probably
United,
Europe,
both factions
medieval
enter
Europe.
the temple to speak with the ancient dragon Kunavang. Unfortunately, Shiro beat us there as well, and Kunavang has been corrupted. We battle against the afflicted, Shirokin, and the dragon's attacks before reaching the top of the temple. Here we
The
fight
afflicted.
against Kunavang
Why don't we
until
just
break
call
Shiro's
them...
control.
Oh wait, we can't
The
call them
officer, her
zombies,
help,
because that's
and tells us the
Zaitan's
reason
thing.
Shiro was attacking these areas was because he was searching for the materials for the spell that would make him mortal again. The only thing missing now was to spill the blood of someone from the Imperial bloodline. We then head deeper into the Imperial Sanctum to avenge Togo's death and stop Shiro. Shiro finished his spell and became the deadly threat he was before being struck down 200 years ago. But we realized he was now mortal, which meant he could be killed again. After using the celestial skills against Shiro, we strike down Shiro once again.
Oh, just like
He
that.
appears with his acolytes and seals Shiro's body in jade. Then the envoys appear to collect Shiro's soul since he is no longer an envoy and died a mortal death. They tell us they have a special place in the underworld for him to lock him away from the mortal realm. Those were the events of Guild Wars factions. Thank you for
There you
watching,
go.
and next I will show
He
you
was
the
a pain to
events of
kill.
Guild Wars Nightfall.
Huh. He's got a spooky persona floating behind him. Or a stand if you're like, a JoJo person. So, this is it. Kaineng Xing Jia? I don't know. Jia Island, Monastery, Echovald Forest, and the Jade Sea. Xingjie. Oh, my bad. Jade Sea is big, but Kaineng is even bigger. I can see the city right there, yeah. Holy crap. Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons expansion trailer.
There's
Ring.
familiarity in this strangeness. Like a song, half remembered, a tune without words to carry it. I know you, and yet I don't.
What do you mean by
You
that?
will soon, little one.
Who are you talking to?
Just an echo in the mists. A possibility.
Look around us. Your children would be trapped in the past, if not for me. Their worlds are carved from the jade that I gave purpose.
Whoa,
I
look at the
promised them
quality
a
of this
future.
trailer.
A century of progress cannot end this way. I'm not... Cantha's not just a spoke in some grand cosmic wheel.
Would a great innovator give up so easily on that promised future?
I won't. I'll find a way to save us all.
Lots of bubbles. So many bubbles. So it's like a water-themed expansion for some reason. Whoa, oh, hold on. What
The
the hell?
future is out there. What are we waiting for?
The cycle is reborn? What do you mean by that? It's called End of Dragons, not Dragons Reborn. It should be the end of the cycle. That's ominous as hell. Okay. That was cool. That is... I'm trying to think. That might be the best looking trailer they've ever done? Maybe? I think the second best would have to be Heart of Thorns. Yeah, I don't remember Path of Fire having anything like that. The hell was that guy? He looked like Thanos if Thanos, was frozen in time and then, stuff grew on him.
Hi,
Tyria. Happy End of Dragons launch day. I'm your host, Ruby, and I am so excited to be here with you today. It is almost time. Very soon, the gates of Cantha will open once again. We're very close to the launch of Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons. This next trailer will help set the scene and kick off your journey. So sit back, relax, and welcome to Cantha.
Fishing confirmed. I'm gonna be honest, I never liked fishing in any video game. What the hell happened?
Ambassador's dispatch. Queen's eyes only. The Empire of Cantha is not what we remember. They are the most powerful nation on Tyria, thanks to their Jade tech.
Typical packed ships,
And they
always
don't
blowing up.
trust us. We have to show
You think they
them that we're
learn?
on their side.
Look at the technology. They have robots. They have robot spiders and everything. Wait, what? Jade bots. Oh, the Jade bots, right. So I saw the zip lines in that lobby. We have the guild hall. We acquired it.
The Aether Blades are back. Now they're planning something big in Cantha.
The pirates? The pirates are back!
If we don't stop them, they'll plunge Tyria into
Wait a minute, is what's her name? My Trin back too? Obviously don't answer that. But I'm wondering now. There's the turtles. I can't wait to get my own Ninja Turtle.
everything Dragon's Watch has fought for. It all comes down to this.
Epic strikes.
The secrets of Cantha. The secrets of the dragon.
What the hell
We
is
have to
that?
uncover them all.
Why is
Before
Keith
it's
blue
too
again?
late.
All of you in our community have been so dedicated in your support of our efforts, and we are honored that you're here with us today as we get ready to launch our third expansion. I hope you enjoyed our pre-show with ArenaNet partner Rook and her factions.
Are you
history
hyped about the
lesson.
Virtuoso
It is
and Mechanist
incredible
Elite
to
spec?
think that it's been 15
I am so
years
excited.
since we
I've always
first
wanted to
set
play
foot in
those
Cantha
classes.
with the launch of Guild Wars factions. It's even more wonderful to think
Hold
about
on,
how
rewind a
many of
little
you
bit because I want to
wonderful launch of Guild
see
Wars
that. I want to see that for a second. Holy crap. If you showed me this picture, I would not have guessed that this was Guild Wars. This seems like a cyberpunk setting, kind of. Like I would have thought this was either cyberpunk or Deus Ex, the Deus Ex video games. What?
factions. It's
Or
even more
BioShock, yeah,
wonderful
maybe.
to think about how many of you were
Or Blade
with us
Runner.
as part of that launch. If you're new to Guild Wars 2, Guild Wars 2 is an award-winning, critically acclaimed MMO that you can play without a subscription fee.
What is the same, but then also what has changed.
The critically
last,
acclaimed MMO.
200
Here I
years.
thought
mean,
Final
like,
Fantasy
imagine
IV.
if there was-
Bro, I know. Like, I'm sorry. I'm pausing this for a second, but that is annoying because every MMO is a critically acclaimed MMO. Final Fantasy is a critically acclaimed MMO. World of Warcraft is a critically acclaimed MMO. Elder Scrolls Online is a critically acclaimed MMO. Like, it's become a buzzword.
There'd probably be a lot of different.
Oh, she was making the meme?
There's going to be a lot of cool stuff that players might expect to see.
I
but
guess
then
all
also
these
some
MMO
stuff that's gonna
companies are
subvert their expectations
in
really
on the
exciting
meme
ways.
now.
We have a lot of people who were there for that
Genshin's
launch of
not
Guild
even an
Wars factions
MMO.
and have played factions and
Don't
they're
start.
familiar with Cantha. But there are also a lot of our community who doesn't necessarily know Cantha. What did the team do to make sure that the region and this expansion was accessible for those people as well?
Well, the time gap honestly helps a lot. Cantha has changed a lot. So players who went there in Guild Wars 1 are certainly going to have things where like, oh man, it's that thing, I recognize that. But there's, a lot of new stuff to discover. So
Those
all
are
the players
pants.
and
I
all the
recognize
characters are gonna
pants.
Be, discovering an exciting new area.
I'm very happy to see that Casimir, it seems like anyway, that Casimir and Marjorie are involved in the main story again.
And what we
It's
landed
good that you
on was,
recognize
what if
Pants
we make
because
strike
Farron
missions for
doesn't.
them? Strike missions for the
Speaking of Farron, I can't wait to see how he is shoehorned into End of Dragons, because he's always, shoehorned somehow. Heart of Thorns. Oh, I happen to be here because it's my vacation, and oh, my ship crashed here. Now I'm George of the Jungle.
And then once you master it there, you're able to move on to the strike mission version where you're in a 10-person group. And everything,
That looks
certainly gets harder there.
crazy.
I can vouch for that.
Whatever
you're
that
probably gonna
is.
want some healers and everything, but it's still an extension of what you already learned. You're not starting from zero. And then from there, once you master that, if you're the hardcore of the hardcore, we'll be adding challenge mode later on, which is just absolutely brutal.
The hard mode.
And you absolutely need healers for that. We've been telling the Dragon story for 10 years. And the End of Dragons finale does not just feel like a finale to this expansion pack. The End of Dragons feels like the finale to the story we've been telling for the last 10 years.
It really does, and I cannot wait for people to see it. What were some of your favorite memories from developing End of Dragons?
Well, for one, I loved seeing the evolution of the Siege Turtle as it came along from it's not even going to be a vehicle to it's a vehicle to now it has jump jets. That is just bonkers to me.
It's just the Siege Turtle from Guild Wars 1, but now we slapped some jets on it.
That's just one case where every time I played it, it was just oh my god, it's just getting cooler and cooler.
But one of the really cool things about Kaineng is it's also a hub of modern technology. And and I think Tyria is going to be taken by storm when
It's
Cantha
advanced
opens up, because there's
technology.
nothing quite like it. And
It
as we
seems
talked
like
about
they're
in
more
live
advanced
streams
than the
past,
the
Lady
Asura,
June,
for
who
crying
is
out loud.
basically the CEO of Junlai Jade, has integrated the city with these modern technologies that are basically a part of the Canthans' everyday lives. There's holo projectors that you can see the holo news
They
on.
had
The
a
Jade
horse
Boss
in
allow you
the
to zip
art?
line.
I
There's
didn't
mass
notice it.
transit related to technology. You see it everywhere. It's in their storefronts. There's these sea motifs throughout the entire city with holographic fish and whales that float through. It's incredibly
Just like
beautiful, but
Cyberpunk.
it's a really jarring, unique opportunity that we kind of got to dive into. What would a city look like that we could explore? It's kind of hard
feel like
to
Ghost
put
in the
into
Shell
words,
had
but I
that
think
too.
I'm really excited to get. There's these holographic projectors that you're going to see all over Cantha. And what those are is we actually have a news reporter. News reporter Mirai, who is one of my favorite characters that I wrote. She's a ton of fun. She was voiced by Tina Huang. The news is going to be reporting on the events of the Golden Path as we progress in the story. And that's a really exciting opportunity.
So this is like a new version of the, just like in Path of Fire, when you call up Taimi to see what she's doing in the Dragon Lab.
Because we can't express every single aspect of how this nation is reacting, but the news gives us the ability to kind of put additional anecdotes that we otherwise couldn't show. So as you're progressing through the story, you're gonna notice that the news is gonna be
now I don't have
updating
to
as
look
we
around
go.
for a
so
signal.
It's gonna be talking about what these visitors in Cantha are doing, what X, Y, and Z. I won't go into specifics because there's a lot of spoilers as soon as you start off the story.
So this is automatic.
But that's one of these really fun reactive ways that we were able to integrate storytelling elements that would be constant through the open world, but also reflect back to you where you are in the story. I think one of the cool things too about all of the maps is each one stands out so much against the rest. Xingzhe is very tranquil. Kaineng is very bustling and exciting. Echovald is dark and serene and eerie, and then the Jade Sea is the Jade Sea, and I won't get too far into that because that would be a spoiler.
Okay,
But
good. All right.
Every
So
single
you can't
map
talk about it.
visually
I
stands
thought,
apart
they were
and
like, the
thematically
Jade
stands
Sea is
apart,
like
and we're
the
incredibly
Jade Sea.
proud of how that all came together.
It is what it
And
is.
is there anything you want to say to our community?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited for you guys to get to play this and experience the story that we've put together. We're so incredibly passionate about it, and we're ready to rip your hearts out because we already ripped our own out, and we just can't wait to share this all with you.
What
Rip
do
your
you
hearts out in a fun way.
mean? What do you mean, rip my heart out? What do you mean?
In a fun way, not like a bad way.
Thank you.
What's
Indigo.
fun about getting your heart ripped out? In what world is that fun? Skiffs and fishing. I don't know about fishing. I've never liked fishing in any video game.
End of Dragons is also going to add skiffs and fishing. You're going to be able to sail around the waters of Tyria with your friends and go fishing for events and for some new recipes. Nick, can you tell us some about the development of these two features?
Yeah, for sure. you know, kind of very similar to the Siege Turtle. We wanted to make sure that fishing and skiffs also felt like a feature set that is going to be
I don't
worthwhile
like trivial
for players to be able
gameplay,
to
no.
engage in and kind of add a new sort of gameplay type, gameplay feel to an already existing system with
It's cool that they added it, though. Don't get me wrong.
Spent a lot of time making
It's
sure
good that they
it
added it.
felt very
It's
kind
just
of
not for me.
realistic. So when you look at
It's nice to
the
have
way
something
the
like
skiff
that
moves around
because
the
it
water,
adds to the
yaw
roleplay.
of the skiff will adjust,
RP.
which is like there's the water plane and then the yaw is like how it tilts.
What's your favorite part of fishing?
There's a bunch of parts of fishing that are really exciting, but I think very akin to my thoughts on the Siege Turtle, it's going to be the way that interacts with not just Cantha in the expansion content, but with the entire world, right? Because you can fish anywhere in Tyria that has water.
Sharks?
It's a very key.
Why
key
the hell
thing,
would you be
outside of
fishing
water.
around
there
sharks?
There are different fish depending on which part of Tyria you're in, right? And there's difference in difficulty and experience depending on which kind of fish are in what area and what you're going for. I'm excited, and the thing that I love and the thing I'm most excited for is for players to be able to go into, you know, old maps and new maps and be able to find the spots where they think they're going to be able to get the things that they're looking for, right? Hunt down all of the different kinds of fish. And
So do they
there's
have different
really
kinds of
just
fish depending
that
on what
experience of
map
being
you're
able
in?
to know that, like, every single part of the world has something that you can experience new for areas that you've already visited, you've already explored,
wild.
you've already mastered. I think that's fantastic, personally. Fishing, though, was a completely different ball game because with fishing, there was a lot of thoughts on
Is that a
spaces
robot?
within.
Or is that a player? I actually don't know. The one on the left of the char, that's a Sylvari? What the hell? That is a crazy outfit.
Because with fishing, there was a lot of thoughts on spaces within.
That's cool.
Arteria
I should
and the
have that for
expansions.
my
And also
mechanist.
people to one developer specifically, John Hargrove, had the task of researching and naming every single fish. So when you have that overarching goal set of let's try to make every area feel kind of realistic to how it would be.
I hate
like,
to be the
you
guy
have
that
different
has
kinds
the
of fish
job to
depending
name
on
every
it's
single
freshwater
Pokemon.
or saltwater, right?
Like every new generation, they got to come up with 100 new names for Pokemon.
A monumental task. I think he said that it's like the biggest Excel doc he's ever had to do, and he's worked here for a very long time. He was like, hey, Paul, can you set up a keybind for this, right? Standard stuff. But what's interesting is that Paul Quinn actually chose a very specific letter, which was J.
I highly appreciate
It took a
that
second
they
to be like,
keep
"Why does that
panning the
one feel
camera
so
to the hot
close?" Right?
Sylvari.
And the reason for it was because he was like, oh yeah,
Thank you,
I
Aina.
chose J because J is like a hook.
The music in End of Dragons is
My name is
ridiculous.
McLean Deemer, and I'm the lead composer for Guild Wars 2.
Hey,
End
it's
of
the guy.
Dragons. We just finished 3 amazing days here at Ocean Way Studios in Nashville, recording with some of the world's best musicians. We're going to combine the orchestra that you're used to hearing in the game with some amazing new sounds that come from Korea to bring you into the world of Cantha.
Whoa. Is that what that thing sounds like? What is that? A doot doot? A butt doot. Ew. I've been hearing this music for over a year now in the starting screen, in the select screen. Wait. What? I have that exact same mask that guy is wearing, the one with the cat thing. Oh my god. And I also have the exact same problem as this guy does with the pattern on the mask. It's not aligned perfectly. As you can notice, it's like to the side and below the nose. It's completely off. Mine is the same. I think we ordered the same mask, this guy and I. Probably the same shop. I got it on Amazon. Yeah, the smirking cat. Never again. What a waste of money.
Junlai Jade is always refining the products that make Cantha a more accessible, advanced nation. With creative and thoughtful design, the same technology used in Jade mechs can almost fit in the palm of your hand.
I feel like they
Say
got better
hello
looking
to
Jade
your
mechs
new
than, you
adventuring
know, the
companion.
Mechanist Jade mech.
We all have different needs, so you can customize your Jade bot with a module. Let them speed up your
They
skill,
should offer up,
energize
like,
your
new
mount,
ways to
recycle
earn, you
items,
know, new
scavenge
Jade
roots,
mechs.
and more.
Different looking ones, you know?
Equip it with a robust power core, and your bot can even enhance your vitality.
They got it for the Jade bots.
Your Jade bot will always be there to give you a boost, save you time, and pick you up when you're down. It's great company when you just want to take in the view. Make a little room in your heart for Jade bots. They'll be available to unlock and customize soon.
Your Jade bot can play with
Jadebots,
cats.
A new feature coming in End of Dragons are helpful little companion robots that you're going to be able to earn in-game and upgrade with modules that help perform various functions for you in-game, like reviving you when you're downed, giving your mounts more endurance to perform their mount abilities more often, and so on. Joining us
They
next
can
is
revive
Ben,
you?
one of our design managers, to talk about Jadebots. Hi, Ben.
Hey, Ruby. Thanks for having me.
What's been your favorite part about
That seems
working on
kind of
this
OP.
feature?
It's just the ability to give players kind of another companion that may be a little less obtrusive
When
than
in
some of the other
downstate,
companions,
yeah.
that he could
Still.
just kind of sticks around and helps you out when you need.
What were some of the biggest
VB's dream come
challenges to adding
true?
this
Shut
feature
up.
for you and the team?
I think the biggest one was when we first
Although, I'm playing an Elementalist for End of Dragons, and that's going to be highly valuable.
whenever you issue the Jadebot command, it's actually an effect that plays rather than an entity spawning in the game. So it saved us a ton of server performance.
A lot of players are going to be wanting to get their hands
so
on
they
the
can lift your
Jadebots.
glider
What's
up?
your insider advice on how to get those and level up those masteries most efficiently?
Yeah, I'd say one of the big things is that a lot of the higher tier, the tier 3 modules actually require drops from bosses and from events.
Wait,
and they're
what?
not guaranteed drops, so keep an eye on your loot as you get.
Oh, hold on. So in order to upgrade your Jadebot, it's not actually through the masteries. You got to go out in the world and earn some items to improve your Jadebot. Am I getting that right?
Get it in case you get something useful.
All right, thank you so much, Ben. I
It's
appreciate
both?
it.
It's both. Good. Good, actually. They need more of that. They need a lot more of that. To incentivize, you know,
I want to talk now about the End
being
of
out in the
Dragons
world and
elite
doing things and,
specializations.
you know,
Elite specializations give you a whole new way to play your character. You get the ability to wield a new weapon, and you get a full set of new abilities. Each of our previous 2 expansions brought a set of elite specializations to Guild Wars 2 characters, and End of Dragons will bring a 3rd set. Game designer Cal
I need to play a
Cohen has been
Bladesworn one of
helping
these
us present
days.
these elite specializations as we've revealed them over the past few months, and
I
he's
played a
back
lot of
today as we
Gunbreaker and
count
Final
down to End of
Fantasy,
Dragons
and I
launch
enjoyed that.
to help us go through them one more time.
So I'm
It seems
Cal,
similar.
I'm a game designer. I work a lot on player versus player and world versus world game modes. For End of Dragons, I also do a lot of work on elite specializations. Worked a lot with
Elite
skills
Sworn.
teams.
Let's start
Yeah,
with the
basically.
Harbinger, the Necromancer's elite specialization. Why don't you take us through that one first?
Absolutely.
So they're
the Harbinger
necromancers
is a
with
really exciting
pistols.
take on the Necromancer. In the past, we've seen a lot more defensive-oriented with Core Necromancer, Reaper.
I don't see a whole lot of
Scourge is a
Harbingers.
lot more tanky. That's more stereotypical.
But I don't really pay
Necromancer.
attention that much.
But with the Harbinger, we're going a lot more aggressive. The Harbinger Shroud does not defend you from incoming damage. It's just a purely offensive kit, a bit of mobility, and a little bit of CC, but just a lot of damage, and just a big disconnect from what
To be
Necromancer
fair,
players
I
are really
have
used to. So within
I
the
have
Shroud,
played
you're gonna be
most of these
accumulating some mechanic
already.
called Blight. It's going to decrease your
Not
outgoing
most of
health,
them,
but
just
it's
a few of
also
them.
going to kind of empower some of your abilities. Your elixir skills will be more powerful. The elixir skills are the new utility type, which are going to be giving you some boon application both to yourself and to allies when you go
What
into certain
the
trait
frick?
selections. But also they're
They
going
can
to be
punch?
potentially
They have
aggressive
monk
options,
moves?
damaging and condition applications to enemies. And the weapon of choice for the Harbinger is a pistol. It's a nice little hybrid weapon, a nice all-rounder type weapon to really bring the class together.
So you can pistol
Okay,
whip your
moving on
enemies.
to the Mesmer. The elite specialization is the Virtuoso. What are Mesmer players getting in the Virtuoso?
I'll do the
So
thing after the
Virtuoso really
videos.
started out as this kind of psychic swordsman was the big theme behind it. This idea of just throwing a flurry of psychic mental blades, and we pulled out the clones. No more clones, you just have blades that kind of hover around your character, and you can
That is
kind of carry
anime.
blades between
That
fights.
is
You don't have to worry about
definitely
your clone being
anime.
tethered to any particular enemy, so it just gives a lot
I
more
feel like they got
flexibility.
inspiration
Virtuoso is
from
also going to
Gilgamesh
get a dagger
or
as their new
Archer
weapon. So in
from
addition to the
Fate
dagger,
Stay
the
Night.
Virtuoso is also going to get access to the psionic utility type. This is a new utility type. It's kind of a general jack of all trades. Just a lot of different options to pick and choose what you're trying to do with your Virtuoso, or whether you're trying to go more aggressive or defensive. You're going to find some skills within this utility type that will fit your playstyle.
So tell us about the Willbender.
I love
I think a lot of us
Virtuoso.
internally
It's
are
one of my
really excited
favorites.
about the Willbender because it's very much this speedy guardian, more mobility. So you just have the opportunity to fly around the battlefield.
Mobility.
That unique style of play that you haven't had access to before. Also, the offhand sword definitely brings some mobility to the table. In addition to giving some mobility, they're also going to give you a lot of access to crowd control, where they lock down those priority targets and just unleash the large amount of damage that's available to the Willbender.
Let's talk about the
I should
Vindicator.
play
The
a
Vindicator is a really
Willbender.
exciting one. Every elite specialization for the Revenant really starts with the legend. And so with Cantha, we see St. Victor and we see Archimedes as kind of the iconic heroes of Cantha. But that's obviously
I get the
two separate
zoomies, hell
legends.
yeah.
But it also gave us the opportunity to
I
really
enjoy
create
high
two
mobility
different play styles
classes
in a
a
single
lot.
elite specialization, which is 2 legends, because obviously 2 is much better than 1 by about twice as much. We definitely wanted to create an offensive, aggressive DPS character, the Archimedes side. But then St. Victor
You
is
also
the
wanted
more
to create a
defensive,
class
supporty
that annoys the
character.
hell out of you
And
by,
the other
you
main thing
know,
changing
having
with the
2
Vindicator is
roommates
also
bickering
the
inside your
dodge
head.
mechanic. The Vindicator is replacing those with a more powerful single-use dodge ability that lasts a little bit longer, but it's also going to have a lot of damage or healing, or also boon application. That's an option that you'll be able to choose through your traits. And of course,
Other
it's
than the
getting access
voices
to
in
the
my
Great
head,
Sword,
this is
which
actually a very fun
primarily
class.
A power DPS weapon that's going to bring a lot of power to the Vindicator.
The warrior profession is getting the Blade Sworn, so let's look at that one next. What does this involve?
The primary starting point for the design of the Blade Sworn started around the
Blade
EI
Sworn.
Jutsu sword technique, which is, the singular moment where you draw your sword and swing it, and that is where the gun saber came from. So the gun saber is kind of similar to an engineer kit, where it is a separate set
Again,
of 5
very
skills
anime.
that you can
It's
swap into
featured
in place of your
prominently
alternate
throughout,
weapon set. The Blade Sworn will
Final
only have access to
Fantasy.
a single weapon set because they now also have the gun saber. It's a
I'm trying to
fairly generalist
remember
kit,
what the
a little bit
first
of defense,
gun
a little
saber
bit of
in Final
mobility,
Fantasy
and that's
was.
also going to enable the Dragon Slash. Instead, you're going to go into this
Squall?
meditative stance, and that's
I think
gonna
it was
charge up
Squall
for a little
from Final
while, and then
Fantasy
you'll
VIII?
swing your sword, deal
Or
a
9?
lot of damage. There's a
I
lot of
forget.
flexibility in what your finishing move is as the Blade Sworn. You're also getting access to an
Squall.
offhand pistol, and finally, you're going to have access to the armament skill type. And there's some projectile destruction. You have some adrenaline generation. You also have access to some cooldown reduction. Just a lot of different tools depending on the situation. You're going to have access to something via the armament skill type.
Okay, we're getting to 2 that are exciting to me personally. I may be a little bit biased because I've been playing it for so long, but the Elementalist Elite Specialization, the Catalyst.
I haven't played this one yet.
one's
This is
interesting to
this
me,
is
so why
the
don't you
one I'm
talk
going to
about that
play.
one?
The Catalyst
I've
really
decided
started on the
to
development side with
go
the,
staff
the
Catalyst.
Hammer kit itself. Depending on the attunement you're in, you're either going to have a more melee style kit or a more range style kit. So once we had the hammer, we were trying
I'm
to figure
following
out
a build
what is
online.
a profession mechanic that plays well with this kind of melee ranged hybrid flexible weapon, and that really led us to the Jade Sphere. Jade Sphere is a deployable area effect skill, which is going to give boons to allies, but also damage enemies in that radius.
There's a lot
It's
of
also a combo
AoE.
field, which is going to play really well with a lot of the combo finishers available to both the hammer and the elementalist in general. So additionally, the Catalyst is getting
Yeah,
access
staff.
to
I enjoy
the
staff.
augment utility type. And these are a set of personal kind of self
I've played Staff Elementalist in the core game for a little while, and I personally enjoyed it.
certain situations.
I have been playing my Elementalist for a very long time.
I gotta
since
remind
Guild
you
Wars
guys,
2
I'm
came
not
out,
a meta
but
gamer.
I'm
I
also
don't
loving
play,
my
you
Thief a
know,
lot
to meta
lately.
game. I don't
The
play, you
Spectre
know,
is
to
the Thief's
be
elite
overly
specialization. What
optimal.
am I
I
gonna
play
be
for
able to
fun.
do?
So the Spectre is a support thief. This is still the aggressive thief character that thieves know and love, but at the same time you'll be able to support nearby allies. The primary mechanic is the Shadow Shroud, and once you build up enough energy through combat, you'll be able to enter this Shadow Shroud, which is then going to tether you to a nearby ally.
Yeah, I'm told
In
that,
addition
you know,
to
there's
the
stuff
Shadow
tied to
Shroud,
the
thief is
hammer,
getting access to
but
main
I'm not
hand scepter.
here. I'm gonna so I don't keep talking over the video. I I mean, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I want to fulfill my mage fantasy. And I've been missing that for over a year now. I like having at least one mage class, and I haven't, played that. So that's why I'm going Staff Elementalist. Staff Catalyst.
This is, again, trying to be that more supporty type of weapon. We have a new ally targeting system that's going to allow you to either target allies with these skills and then empower them or support them, or you can also target your enemies with the same skills, but instead you'll be dealing damage. The Spectre is also going to get access to the Well utility type. They're also all
I've already done Weaver.
Skills.
That's my human.
The way that the Spectre Wells
I played Weaver in Path of Fire.
Location and then drop the Well. And the
Which is
wells
also
have
great.
varying effects. We're going to see the more aggressive route. We're going to see the more supportive route. I'm expecting to see both of these once we get live, and both of them should be a pretty effective way to play the class.
All right, so the 8th Elite specialization is the Ranger's Untamed. What does this one do?
Yeah, what the hell does that do?
One, the Bunny Thumper was kind of this iconic Guild Wars 1 Hammer Ranger, Ranger Warrior hybrid build. So in the Guild Wars 2 sense, we have the Hammer Ranger is now the Untamed. And the Hammer is, again, going to be that similar melee brawler playstyle that has access to either a lot of damage or a lot of crowd control, and that's going to be given through the Unleash mechanic. That's the profession mechanic for the Untamed, which is going to bounce this kind of more raw power of nature between you and your pet. And then when the pet itself is unleashed, it's going to have access to a few new skills you'll be able to command and use as you see fit. We see that on the new Unleashed Ambush skills that are going to become available when you enter that Unleashed state for a short amount of time.
This is a really weird one.
Access to the Cantrip utility type. These are going to be a lot more defensive focused. There's a little bit of damage in there, but primarily defensive options to really enable that melee brawler
Untamed
playstyle.
seems pretty weird and disgusting.
We see some crowd control. We see some heavy defensive mitigation skills. So a lot of different ways to flesh out that melee playstyle with the Untamed.
And last
I wonder
but
if they
not
had
least
difficulty,
is the
thinking of an elite specialization for Ranger, because that doesn't seem all that,
that filled the game with Jade mechs during
unique,
that last
interesting.
beta event. Cal, why don't you tell us about this one?
So once we knew we were doing Jade Tech for End of Dragons, the mechanists came together pretty quickly, at least the general idea. It's like, all right, we have Jade Tech. What if there was just a huge Jade mech available to the engineer, and essentially creating more of this pet class.
Why don't I have that one?
Influenced a lot of the design for the rest of the specialization, because within the traits, you're able to select different skills that the Jade mech has access to, allowing you to go either more power damage, more condition damage, a little more support. The mech can kind of do it all. That's something we wanted to make sure. The mech is a standalone. We wanted to make sure that it could fill a few different roles. So
the mech does everything for me. I don't need to do nothing.
Like
I just press one.
Skills in themselves, where some of them will
the
command
mech is the true player.
I'm
actually the pet.
Jade Buster Cannon and shoots this giant laser, dealing a bunch of damage. Some of them are a bit more tame. You have to heal the mech. The mech pushes enemies back from around it. Just a lot of ways to interact with your mech through the Signet actives.
Even if it is the most lazy spec they've ever made,
some bonus stats.
I'm all for it.
Not on cooldown. Finally, the mechanist.
I like how this game, has so many options, to play it. You can play this game. You can make this game as simple as you want it to be, or as complex as you want it to be. You want to play a piano class? You can play a Weaver. You want to just press one button and not think about anything? You can play a Mechanist.
Is also going to have access to the mace weapon.
And that's good.
Condition damage and a little bit of a support style weapon. So the Mechanist really has a lot of different ways that you can play it. And we're really excited to see kind of the army of Jade mechs that appear in the world and all doing various different things. It'll be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Legendary weapons.
This third generation of legendaries is imbued with the magic of the Elder Dragon Aurene, but there is more to come and more to tell about the legendaries, so I will turn it over to Nick for that.
Hi everybody. As Ruby just mentioned, we'll be talking about the legendary weapons that are coming out with this expansion. With the
Aurene weapons come from here.
We're going to be releasing the Aurene set, but after End of Dragons, we also have a bunch of other sets coming in as well, each themed off of the Elder Dragons that currently exist within the game. That means that you're going to be having close to like 100 different weapons that you can have. Yeah, it's a lot. With each specific set being tailored and themed towards each of the dragons, like Krankatoric, like Zaitan, Mordremoth, etc. One of the overarching goal sets for I've heard a lot of
Primordius
stories.
aesthetic, though?
And, as mentioned earlier, right? It's like 100 weapons. So it's like, how does the team
Depends on what the Primordius staff looks
and
like.
their visuals in a way that is different enough that helps people feel like each one is
Yeah,
worth
because
the
I don't have a
investment,
staff for
while also
my
being similar
Sylvari
enough
staff
that it allows for the
elementalist yet.
development team to have one is like wood and one is like
Primordius
death,
staff.
and those are
Hold on, let me see this real quick then. See if I can. Oh, right, the staff. Okay, all right. That's a cool looking staff. I'll watch the Arborstone and Strike Mission stuff.
To go here is Arborstone. Arborstone is a player hub next to the Echovald Wilds map with lots of amenities and
So
fun
like
little secrets to discover that you as the player can level up
like the
and
Path of Fire,
improve
the
as
Season
you go
4
through the
area?
gameplay. So Indigo,
Sun's
why
Refuge?
don't you tell us more about what we'll find in Arborstone?
Yeah, absolutely. So Arborstone was a really fun opportunity. It's a brand new player hub, like Ruby said, and we've covered
like
it on
Eye
a
of the
couple
North.
occasions. Arborstone will be a recognizable location to some of our Factions fans, but what we see in Arborstone now is very, very new. And basically, we go there and we end up at a point in the story using it as a refuge, and then we have the ability after that point to level it up. There's a bunch of collections that we can do through it. I even run a couple of
except
those
it's open
collections, and
world.
that was a really fun opportunity, and players can be really excited to kind of dive into some side stories.
Yeah, I don't
and
see
utilize
myself
a bunch of
coming
different
back to
aspects
Sun's
of
Refuge all
I'm
that
expecting
much.
it to be like
Maybe
a really
I'll do the
exciting new place
collections
for
one
people to
day,
go
but
hang out with their friends.
that's a big if.
Stations. I know Annie Vandermeer. You can walk through those hallways forever. It's
So only for collections and
massive,
achievements.
And it's the kind of place
No
that
reason
really
otherwise.
encourages you to explore. And I think
Like the
players
WoW
are going to get a kick
garrisons.
out of it. It's also the hub and the checkpoint for our strike missions. So there's just all sorts of things you can do. There are no limits. It's really fun opportunity.
Strike missions, all right. I'm excited for this.
One thing we haven't talked about yet are the strike missions coming in End of Dragons. Joining us next is Cam Rich, our senior game designer. Cam, hi, welcome.
Hello, nice to be here.
So why don't you start by talking a little bit about who you are and what you do here at ArenaNet.
Hi, I'm Cameron Rich. I'm a senior game designer here at ArenaNet. I act as the lead for the Encounters team that works on all the combat experiences for Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons.
Okay, so what are strike missions?
Strike missions in Guild Wars
Kind of
2
like an
are
encounter
10-player
designer.
instances that you can tackle with your friends. You get pitted up against some epic bosses that you might have seen in the story of Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons. And they're souped up versions of these encounters which require a lot more coordination and communication with your friends to take down.
Who are these souped up versions of the bosses in strike missions? Who are we encountering here?
They are moments from the End of Dragon's story, pitting you up against some antagonists that you'll find out more about whenever you play through the story itself. So while we won't reveal exactly who those antagonists are
So we're
today,
obviously
you can
going to be
expect
fighting
encounter them
Thanos.
as you go through the End of Dragon story content. For the strike missions, we really want to make sure that we're dialing in on what kind of personalities these characters and creatures have, and how we can actually display those personalities through the
Wait, hold on. Isn't that thing from the Fractal? Yeah, that thing. We fought this thing in the Fractal.
Is there any
Do you remember its
signature traits of
name?
them
Actually,
that we
I
might
don't.
be able to think of creative ways of creating mechanics that shows that personality through the mechanic
I don't remember the
itself.
name.
We want the encounters to really feel
I've only
like
done
an
it
extension
once.
of the character that you're fighting, rather than just, stay out of the orange and go into the green.
You've been working on strike missions for a really long time, and I know this is a labor of love. What do you think is going to just blow players away with the new End of Dragon strike missions?
Well, while I don't want to give any spoilers for the exact moments, I will say that each
Jade
encounter in End
Maw.
of Dragons has moments that are designed
Come to think of it,
really
that
surprise
Fractal
players, make them take a
supposedly
moment to say,
was a piece
"Wow,
of the
what
Jade
is
Sea.
happening right
So I'm
now?"
guessing
and
it's from
just
that.
kind of get them a little bit hyped up for what's going to come next.
What do you want players to take away from each encounter when they do these strike missions and they're learning them?
Yeah,
So the End of Dragon strike missions are designed to be accessible for a wide audience, and part of that means that we need to teach players the mechanics that they need to learn and master in order to take those skills and tackle the higher difficulty content that already exists in the game, as well as the new content that's going to be coming out in the future. So if you're tackling these strike missions for the first time, it should
That new
teach you
content
the
in the
skills
future
that you
is
need
just
to
going to be more
succeed in the future.
strikes.
Okay, let's go behind the scenes a little bit. How do you determine what is and is not working and what should stay and what should go?
Well, so the first thing that
Raids
we do
should go,
is
strikes
we
should stay.
prioritize a rapid iteration schedule and aggressive testing. We try to get in early to make sure that we're playing the content as soon as possible in the development process, so we can find what's working and what's not, and follow the fun and focus on just picking that direction and running with it.
Strikes
That
can have
involves
stories
getting
too.
Everybody together early and often. It involves getting QA involved in the process as early as possible, and it just takes a lot of rigorous testing to make sure that we're landing on the thing that is the highest quality version of the product.
What were some of your biggest challenges with that?
I think the biggest challenge that we faced with the End of Dragon Strike missions was that we wanted to directly integrate them into the story of the expansion. And that required us to team up with the story team and the narrative team really, really early. It presented a lot of unique challenges.
Except they don't?
That required some really creative solutions. But the
They're literally rooted in the main story. What are you talking about?
team went above and beyond and exceeded my expectations and delivered
Strikes
something
are
that
bosses
we're all
from
really
the main
proud of.
story. Well, there you go.
What's your favorite thing about the strike
They're
missions?
involved in, in the story.
Oh, man. So I'm a big fan of storytelling in games. One of the things that allows games to transcend other forms of media is creating experiences that take the narrative side of the game and integrate it into the gameplay. And
There's
so
no difference.
with the Strike
In my
missions
opinion,
and
there's
End
no
of
difference.
Dragons, we partnered up with the story team to think about how can we take the
It
mechanics
just
that we're
happens that you're doing the story outside of the strike, and then if you want, you can do it again with 9 other people.
building and tell the story that we're telling through the VO and the narrative lines through the actual encounter itself. I think we were able to achieve that on a level that we haven't before, and it's really exciting.
Raids
I'm
are side stories,
super
though.
happy
Oh, yeah.
to see what we were able to achieve.
As the team was working on this, what player
But there's nothing
feedback did
stopping
you
them
incorporate?
from
We
doing, strikes that are also side stories, right?
talked about running
I mean,
this through its
they don't have
paces
any
and
of that
testing it
yet,
a lot
but
and getting
they
feedback.
can.
What was some of the player feedback on that?
So with our Ice Brood Saga Strike missions, we heard players loud and clear that the feedback was that they wanted to see a larger focus on teaching mechanics that players needed to learn in order to achieve success. That was something we took to heart.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we put into the design
Oh,
process
yeah.
in Dragon Strike missions from the very beginning. We focused on delivering experiences where players really needed to respect the mechanics of the encounter, learn them,
They feature that very prominently in the very first raid. So when I saw that they introduced mechanics to you with baby steps, right? Like the Veil Guardian, where you have to fight those 3 NPCs first before fighting the actual boss. Each of those NPCs taught you some of the main mechanics for the actual boss. And then the second encounter, the Spirit Tunnel, that showed you some the mobs you fight there teach you stuff about the Spirit Tunnel. And then the mobs, right before the final boss, Sabbatha, they also teach you mechanics about, Sabbatha. I thought that was brilliant. But then they kind of just stopped doing that later on.
and execute on them correctly in order to
I found that odd.
get to the finish line and achieve victory.
It's almost time for End of Dragons. It's almost time for these strike missions. For players who want to jump in and hit those strike missions
Raid 1
as
is
soon
one
as
of my
they
favorite
possibly
raids.
can, what are some
It's
of
one of
your
the best.
tips for strike mission success?
Well, I'm not going to spoil anything because part of the fun of taking on any encounter is learning the puzzle and figuring it out yourself. But I will say some general tips is to keep an open mind, be patient with each other, focus on communication and coordination, and be kind to each other as well. You'll achieve success. You just got to put in some work.
Thank you so much, Cam, and congratulations on the impending launch of End of Dragons. Okay, one last reminder that if you're new to Guild Wars 2, it is never too late to jump on that skiff. The core game is totally free, and as of today, you can upgrade your account with all 3 expansions. Expansions come with a max level boost,
Or you can
so
just
you
get one
jump into
expansion if you
level
don't,
80 content
want
with
to
your
follow the
friends
story.
right away. Special shout out to our player community, one of the friendliest and most helpful
I like that
out
this game
there.
gives you options.
Thank you all for
You
everything
can tackle
do
it,
to make new
however
players
you
feel
want.
welcome and help them on their journey.
Consume the content in any way you want. Problem is not that the raids are too hard, it's that they are too toxic and unapproachable. Same is happening to End of Drykes. End of Drykes? What the? Happening to End of Dragon Strikes now, though, too. Interesting. I'll find out on my own to see if that's the case. For raids, I can kind of see that happening because the problem with raids is like they just take a very long time. It's nice that they're, cool side stories and all, but if I wasn't streaming this game, I would not be raiding because I don't have time. I cannot, put aside hours and hours of, just to progress through. I realize that, if I train and I get the mechanics down, I'll probably complete the raids faster. I probably, get them done in an hour or so. However, it's that, the first hurdle is the problem. And I can't get over the first hurdle because I just simply don't have the time. I got shit to do. I've got responsibilities. I like that these strikes are a lot more accessible, a lot more, reachable or whatever. What the hell? The aesthetic is different. That's the next trailer. Oh, that's the next trailer? Okay, all right, then we go watch that right now. The Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons launch trailer. Not sure I needed to switch videos, but whatever.
In hundreds of years, we have seen so much change. The Elder Dragon's lust for magic
is that Steve?
Bringing a new season of transformation and conflict. Mortals forge new powers greater than themselves. My only fear is the consequences such creations may bring. The future still has yet to be written.
So many robots.
Time is running out.
Dude, this looks like Arcane.
Will you forever take your place in Tyria's history?
That kind of looked like Krokatoric. The face did anyway. Okay. All right. Oh my god. Guild Wars 2 Pandaria. I actually enjoyed Pandaria. People may have goofed on it in the beginning, but towards the end, I thought that was a very good expansion. That's old, though. That's old news. Did you see this teaser? Hold on one second. Let me fix my webcam.
This land, it's a monument to mortal resilience.
I don't think so. Never mind. This is new.
New lives upon the very thing that sought to end theirs.
Mortals are little flames, brilliant, hot, then gone.
Yeah, I definitely did not see this. Never mind.
Forget what a lifetime
Oh, it's the Jade Sea.
What an ending means.
You know it doesn't have to be this way.
No, Kunavira, it does. They need me.
What the frick? What the frick? I feel like I just saw Steve. Game updates, notes, April 1. All right, here we go. In general, let me raise the volume on the game. There we go. Completing season prophecies of the living story now rewards players with access to older Lion's Arch, which can be accessed by launching the original Guild Wars client and traveling to Lion's Arch. But you can just do that instead. Fixed an issue that unintentionally reduced the quantity of Imperator's cores in the Black Citadel and several other capital cities. Wasn't that a bug in the game where they had an extra core? I never got to see that. Fixed an issue that caused the character deaths in the Super Adventure Box's test zone to kill the character in real life. Wait, what do you mean the character in real life? I'm not a character. fixed an issue in the Asura personal story that caused some characters to be haunted by a lingering feeling that they forgot to take one of their final exams in their selected college. That might be the, Asura's worst nightmare ever. If you VB in game, you VB IRL. That doesn't make any sense, because VB doesn't mean anything, it's just my name. Personal story. Using the /say chat command to respond to NPCs by interjecting your character's opinions, cracking jokes, or demanding to know where Balthazar is will now be considered canonical. What? Only the instance owner's extra dialogue is currently tracked. We are planning to add tracking for group extra dialogue in a future update. That sounds like too much work. NPCs will not react to this added dialogue, but will silently judge the commander for interrupting. Oh, okay, that's no work at all. Items. Updated the categorization of food items in the crafting menu. To improve discoverability, all food items are now soups or sandwiches. That'd be actually great. Yeah, because sifting through all the different food is kind of a nightmare. And, like, a lot of them just do the same thing anyway. We really should just have 2 or 3 categories of food. Except I don't know if I want to put soup in my bags. Bags are going to get really stanky. Minis will now summon their own mount when the player mounts up. I'm just looking at my mini Casimir. Yeah. Profession skills. General. Shouts can no longer be used inside libraries and other scholarly facilities. But what if you're doing the story in Living World Season 1 and 2 when you're helping Ogden out in the basement of the Priory? What then? You're kind of screwed. Significantly increase the minimum casting time of meditations. Meditations can now be interrupted by shouts. Yeah, not in the library. Elementalist. A new style trends attunement has been added to replace Earth attunement, which was kind of dusty anyway. Oh, boo! That was so dry. Dry like the Earth attunement. Judge's intervention now additionally grants a significant number of votes when activated during a fashion... Bro! What? Why? That's broken. Just ban the Guardians from competitions. Mesmer. Blade Song Virtuoso skills now require crafted daggers as a reagent. That would make me quit my Virtuoso. Don't you dare make that a real change. If a Skrit Mesmer created clones of itself, it wouldn't get smarter. That's not how Skrit, Mesmers, or clones work. We just wanted you to know. Did anyone actually have an argument about this? Bags full of extra daggers. That's like a very, old D&D thing. An antiquated D&D mechanic. Or, World of Warcraft used to do that too. I remember in Classic WoW, in Vanilla WoW, you have to, I know for certain you have to keep buying or crafting arrows, for hunters. God, I don't miss that. What a nuisance. Mesmers can now... Hold on. Yeah, Mesmers can now access a series of extra tabs in the hero panel to customize their phantasms' appearances for the duration of the summon. Yo! I'd be down with that. Hell yeah! I have one clone wearing one outfit, another clone wearing a different outfit, and so on and so forth. That sounds amazing. These are less jokes and more, some interesting changes. Some not so interesting changes. You can now put little hats on your summoned minions, but sometimes they drop them and it's so precious that you can't be mad. They're abominations. They're horrors. There's nothing precious about that. I don't understand people who have this fascination, who find, horrific things to be cute or adorable. I don't understand it. I just don't. I don't get it. I'm an abomination? I am. I'm not arguing against that. The Necro class gets sad when they die. They do. I hand-raised that minion! You don't like the flesh golem yelling Oni-chan? They don't yell Oni-chan. Okay, well, whatever. Ranger. Soul beasts can now meld with their equipped mini as well as their pet. You know what I'm thinking. You know exactly what I'm thinking. You know what they should do? They should open up an instance where they, you know, get to experiment and do loads of crazy things. Just go wild. Kind of like the Brawlers Guild from World of Warcraft. And there, they try out, you know, experiments and do very wacky, you know, rule sets. You know what I mean? I feel like Guild Wars 2, you know, should do something fun like that. Thief. Steal now additionally steals the target's style by emulating their wardrobe selection and die choices in PvP only. Yo, that sounds fun. Added a new thief specializations, the Rouge, for training fashion war based skills. Oh my god, they're going very heavy on the fashion war stuff this year. Warrior fixed an issue that unintentionally muffled the gunsaber's inner voice when it speaks directly into its bladesworn wielder's heart. I understand the Rouge joke, because, you know, Rouge, rogues, thieves. That was a very big, you know, thing in World of Warcraft because they call them rogues over there and people kept, you know, spelling them as Rouge instead. It's an anime joke? Oh. Okay, alright. Soul Leader, maybe? Probably. Yeah, it's a weeb thing to speak to your blade, right. Role player versus player. Role player versus player? New RPVP maps for the season have been added, including tense treaty negotiations, formal social event, and shady back alley to set a new stage for inter-character conflicts. I want an RPVP event for Nudie Nights. We should do a Noodle Night RP event or something. That'd be badass. That'd be hilarious. World versus World. World linking now occurs every Wednesday at noon in all time zones. World linking now occurs every Wednesday at noon in all time zones. In all time zones. Yeah, but that's chaos. What? So it'll just keep relinking all day, yeah. Every hour. Alright. Well, there you go. And that is the April Fool's patch notes. Damn, that's 2 hours. 2 hours, you know, reacting to stuff. I am so sorry. I thought that was only going to take 1 hour. That was a worthwhile 2 hours, in my opinion. I'm proud of chat for sticking around. All 100 of you. Sticking around to, you know, watch videos with me for 2 hours straight. Why are you punching her butt? Oh, you're not punching her butt. You're scratching the butt. Either way, that's weird. Booba.